Have you ever wondered why some paths feel profoundly different from others? You observe individuals moving through life with an apparent ease, while for you, even when you strive to do everything right, the road seems paved with deeper challenges. That unique struggle you carry, the feeling that you are walking a separate, more arduous journey. This is not an illusion. It is often a subtle, yet powerful indication that you are among those who have been uniquely chosen. Individuals whose lives are destined for something far greater, something beyond the common current of existence. If you recognize this profound weight, this recurring pattern of hardship, even as you seek to live with integrity, then know this: God's chosen ones face battles that others simply cannot comprehend. Have you noticed how those who pursue divine connection and truth seem to encounter the fiercest storms as if marked by a unique opposition? If these sentiments resonate within your soul, you may indeed be one set apart, sculpted for an extraordinary purpose. For the truth is, to be chosen does not mean an easy life. On the contrary, it often means encountering profound pains that at first may confuse and break you, but are ultimately designed to forge your character, refine your spirit, and prepare you for a destiny of immense impact. These are not punishments, but rather signposts of a sacred calling woven into the fabric of your being. If you have wept in solitude, unable to fathom why such suffering is allowed, if friends have drifted away without explanation, if you feel a weight in your spirit that remains invisible to those around you, then this message, this shared understanding is profoundly for you. I will illuminate 5 specific pains, struggles that resonate uniquely with those chosen for a divine path. By identifying them, you will realize you are neither mistaken nor punished, and most crucially, you are never alone. Throughout history, countless individuals like you have walked this very road. Remain with us until the end, because beyond merely recognizing these pains, I will reveal how they are, in fact, powerful tools in the hands of a higher power, meticulously crafting something extraordinary within you. A strength and wisdom that can only be born through the forge of challenge and pressure, a foundation that will impact generations. If any part of this reflection touches your spirit, do consider engaging further with our insights. We are here to empower the chosen, reminding you that despite every tear, the divine calling upon your life is undeniably worth the journey. Let us begin with the distinct pain of rejection. Remember that friend who slowly stopped calling, the subtle shift in how your family looks at you, the colleagues who no longer include you in their invitations. For the chosen, rejection often knocks on the door without warning. One day, people are simply there, and the next, they are gone. You may replay interactions in your mind, seeking a reason, asking what you did wrong, striving to understand this sudden distance. Yet the truth, while simple, can be deeply painful. Often you haven't changed, but your inner light has intensified. This growing radiance can disturb those accustomed to the shadows. The chosen carry a profound presence that, without a single word, confronts and challenges. It questions the values, choices, and less upright paths many prefer to ignore. They distance themselves not because of your failings, but because it is simpler to reject your transformative presence than to undergo their own transformation. Even figures like Jesus experienced this when his own family doubted him and his townspeople scorned him. The Son of God himself felt the abandonment of those who should have recognized him most. This pain, however, serves a crucial purpose: to detach you from the need for human approval and ground you in divine affirmation. When applause surrounds you, it's easy to confuse pleasing others with pleasing God. Rejection clarifies this path. Your unique journey requires a detachment, an understanding that those who walk with you today may not be the companions for tomorrow. Often, God himself orchestrates this spiritual filtering, removing those who cannot keep pace with your destiny or who would become obstacles. You will notice a pattern. Rejections frequently occur precisely when you draw closer to the divine, when you commit to deeper prayer, to spiritual discipline, or abandon old habits. This is not mere coincidence. It is a profound spiritual strategy. What appears to be abandonment is, in truth, divine cleansing, clearing your circle and making space for new connections that truly align with your purpose. Today's pain of loss can indeed be tomorrow's protection. The chosen learn a difficult yet liberating love, to bless those who have hurt them, to understand that many souls are temporary characters in their sacred narrative, not permanent anchors. This rejection, while hurtful, is not punishment, it is rigorous preparation. To lead, you must endure criticism. To bring forth prophecy, you must face disbelief. To serve authentically, you will be profoundly misunderstood. Rejection fortifies you, preparing you to persevere when doubt becomes pervasive. You will come to realize that some reject you not for what you've done, but for what your very existence represents. Your unwavering presence subtly reminds others of their forgotten commitments. Your faithfulness illuminates their unfaithfulness. Your light reveals the very darkness many wish to ignore. Stop chasing back what divine hands have carefully removed. If doors have closed, do not attempt to force them open. Trust that new, divinely appointed relationships will emerge. Individuals who truly comprehend your calling, respect your unique vision, and powerfully strengthen your destined walk. Then there is a particular solitude, an aching loneliness that cannot be dissolved by mere company. You can find yourself in a room overflowing with people, yet experience the most profound isolation. You may engage in conversation, smile, and participate outwardly, but within, an emptiness resides that no one seems able to reach. How does one truly articulate the universe that expands within you, a landscape of thoughts and dreams so vast, so profound, that to share them would seem like madness or fanaticism to others? The chosen carry visions and revelations that few can grasp, and holding this profound inner world in solitude can be a heavy burden. Others may speak of everyday jobs, while your mind contemplates profound ministry. They discuss current events, while you discern the depths of spiritual warfare. Their concerns center on tomorrow, while your spirit perceives eternity. These are different worlds, distinct vibrational frequencies, creating an almost unbridgeable chasm in communication that gently pushes you into this unique solitude. This specific type of isolation has a name: purposeful loneliness. It defines the experience of walking towards a destiny that only you can truly see. While others may offer love and companionship, they cannot truly perceive the full scope of what a higher power has deeply imprinted on your heart. The immense weight of this vision is yours alone, and carrying it can be truly exhausting. The profound silence that often follows your deepest prayers can be deafening. The sleepless nights spent wrestling with doubts you dare not share, the quiet crises of faith hidden even from your closest confidants. These are the training grounds of a chosen one. You learn to contend with your deepest struggles in solitude, for some battles are simply too intimate to be truly shared. Jesus himself embodied this pinnacle of loneliness in the Garden of Gethsemane, imploring his disciples to pray with him, yet finding them asleep as he sweated blood in agony. Even the divine incarnate felt the crushing weight of being utterly misunderstood. Have you experienced this anguish, surrounded by friends, family, fellow seekers, yet feeling an isolating sense that no one truly comprehends your unique pain, your personal struggle, your sacred calling? This is a hallmark of a chosen life, that pervasive sense of being somewhat out of sync, even among your own kind. Loneliness also surfaces sharply in moments of pivotal decision. When the divine whispers a radical instruction, conventional human advice typically leans towards the safe, the predictable path. Be prudent, they may say, while the inner spirit softly yet firmly whispers, trust and simply go. And no one but you hears that whisper, leaving the immense weight of the decision, with all its implications and consequences, solely upon your shoulders. The chosen confront loneliness even in moments of spiritual triumph. Authentic spiritual victories are often fought in the invisible realms, battles that yield no visible trophies or outward applause. And so, you often celebrate alone, reveling in quiet miracles that only your soul has witnessed. The profound danger in this loneliness lies in the subtle temptation to yield, to quiet the divine voice within, to conform, to diminish your expansive vision, just to appear normal or less strange. Many a chosen soul has tragically traded their divine anointing for the fleeting comfort of mere acceptance, exchanging a heavenly calling for the false security of fitting into a worldly mold. Yet, there is a profound secret, a hidden gift woven into this loneliness. In the silence of human misunderstanding, the voice of the divine becomes exquisitely clear. In the absence of horizontal company, your vertical intimacy with the Creator intensifies. It was in the raw solitude of the desert that John the Baptist received his life-altering message. In the profound isolation of Patmos, that John the Apostle witnessed the cosmic tapestry of the apocalypse. In the deep solitude of prison, that Paul penned the letters that have transformed the world. Loneliness for the chosen is not punishment. It is an incubator, a specialized school for prophets, a sacred forge for leaders. You learn to discover solace and understanding in the only one who truly knows the depths of your heart, God Himself. He is the presence that never abandons, the listener who comprehends even your unutterable groans, the companion who counts every tear before it falls. This purposeful loneliness also meticulously prepares you to serve, because one day others will feel precisely what you are experiencing today. They will come to you, broken by the same brand of profound misunderstanding, and you will be able to utter the healing words, "I understand. I have walked this path." Your embrace will then carry the authentic weight of lived experience, not mere theory. One certainty endures: this phase of intense transformative loneliness does not last eternally. At the appointed moment, a higher power always connects the chosen to one another, souls who speak your spiritual language, who comprehend your silent struggles without needing extensive explanations, who see the exact horizon that lights your own path. Within the very core of every chosen soul exists a silent, fierce internal conflict, a battlefield where two fundamental natures engage in a relentless daily confrontation. On one side, a spirit that deeply yearns for divine communion and truth. On the other, a stubborn flesh that perpetually resists it. It is an utterly exhausting struggle, taking place in the most intimate territory of your own being. The resulting mental and spiritual confusion is profoundly real. You may love the divine with every fiber of your being, yet find yourself harboring thoughts that fill you with shame. You rise to pray, only to be overcome by an inexplicable drowsiness. You open sacred texts, and distractions seem to multiply. You commit to spiritual discipline, but the simplest pleasures suddenly become overwhelmingly irresistible. This intense inner war can cause you to profoundly question your own sincerity, your own depth of faith. The chosen feel a uniquely heavy weight when they stumble, because they carry a greater awareness, a heightened responsibility. They know the profound truth of divine grace, have experienced sacred presence, and yet they still falter. The ensuing guilt can be overwhelming, almost paralyzing. The Apostle Paul perfectly articulated this perennial conflict. "For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing." Even this colossus of faith openly confessed his fierce internal battle, and remarkably, he penned these words years into his ministry, not as a novice, but as a spiritual veteran. This relentless war unfolds precisely because the chosen bear a distinct target on their backs. The forces of darkness know your profound potential and strike precisely where you are most vulnerable, most exposed. Make no mistake, the grander your sacred calling, the more intense, the more personally directed the temptations will be. These are not generic attacks. If you are called to bring truth, your words will be tested through the whispers of gossip or distortion. If you are destined to lead, the subtle serpent of pride will constantly coil at your door. If your spirit carries an anointing for true reverence, the allure of vanity will attempt to corrupt genuine service into mere performance. Perhaps the most painful dimension of this struggle is observing other devout souls who seemingly navigate life without such apparent internal struggles. From afar, many seem to have found a profound inner peace that for you remains merely a theological concept. This comparison can trigger doubts about your own faith, wondering if the divine is somehow disappointed in your recurrent human failings. But here is the secret that few grasp. This persistent internal conflict is not a symptom of spiritual weakness, but rather a sign of profound spiritual sensitivity. Those who experience no such war have often unconsciously surrendered to one side or the other. The absence of internal conflict rarely signals spiritual triumph. It far more often indicates a profound internal surrender, a soul that has simply ceased to fight for its highest self. The chosen possess a remarkably sharp spiritual awareness. They perceive the true weight of the human condition and transgression that others effortlessly dismiss. They are deeply troubled by matters the wider world considers mundane, and this very sensitivity, though often painful, is a precious gift. It signifies that the sacred spirit is vibrantly alive and deeply active within your being. Even more challenging is when the battle extends beyond outward actions to areas unseen. Thoughts, subtle intentions, deep motivations. The chosen learn early that authentic holiness far transcends visible moral behavior. It is a profound matter of inner purity, a sanctuary where only God can truly see. This conflict typically intensifies at strategic junctures in your spiritual journey. Have you noticed how temptations seem to grow stronger just before a significant breakthrough, an important dedication, or stepping into a new sacred responsibility? This precise synchronicity is not random. It is a clear strategic maneuver of spiritual opposition. The lower nature is incredibly creative in its rationalizations. It masterfully finds theological loopholes for questionable actions, quotes sacred verses out of context to soothe a troubled conscience, and meticulously compares its own shortcomings to those of others to relativize what is sacred. This astonishing capacity for self-deception can be truly frightening. What you must understand is this: this profound struggle will not entirely cease in this earthly life. There is no final destination where the resisting part of your nature is completely silenced. What transforms is your capacity to respond, your speed of recovery after a stumble, and your raw honesty before the divine when you fall. Many times, this internal turmoil is amplified by unrealistic expectations. You are not called to attain an unattainable perfection, but rather to embody authentic spiritual growth. You are not meant to never falter, but to always rise again. You are not destined for an absence of struggle, but to learn to contend with grace and wisdom. The profound good news in this war is that you are not alone. The same spirit that dwells within you intercedes on your behalf with groanings too deep for words. The divine itself knows your deepest weaknesses and continually intercedes for your soul. There is a cosmic cheering section, a celestial host that follows and celebrates every small, often unseen victory you achieve in this arduous battle. The most liberating revelation a chosen one can grasp in this arena is that this struggle, despite its inherent pain, cultivates profound inner strength. It is precisely in the direct confrontation with your own deepest frailties that you learn to surrender completely to the sustaining embrace of grace. Every internal battle, every stumble and rise moves you closer to an authentic, enduring humility. The kind that does not feign strength, but deeply recognizes and leans into divine dependence. The journey of the chosen is deeply etched with renunciation, the challenging process of letting go. Some renunciations are forced upon you, others are voluntary acts of obedience, yet all of them carry a profound and sometimes agonizing pain. There are moments when the divine quietly whispers to your heart, "Let this go, release it, it is no longer for you." And the resulting tightening in your chest, the silent grief, is truly indescribable, particularly when it involves surrendering something you deeply cherish. These renunciations often begin subtly. A certain piece of media that no longer uplifts your spirit, a song that subtly disturbs your peace, a seemingly harmless habit that now weighs upon your conscience. Gradually, your spiritual sensitivity deepens, and what was once normal now feels heavy and out of alignment. Then come the grander, more impactful renunciations, lifelong friendships that, despite their history, subtly impede your growth. A stable, secure profession that suddenly conflicts with the deep calling on your life. Even the city of your roots when the divine indicates a new, unfamiliar territory. Or a cherished romantic relationship with someone who cannot share your profound spiritual vision. Perhaps the most confounding aspect is that these are frequently good things, morally neutral or even beneficial things that the divine asks you to release. Not blatant immoralities, but perfectly legitimate opportunities, career advancements, or human relationships that for anyone else would be unmitigated blessings, but for you would signify a subtle but critical deviation from your higher purpose. Abraham profoundly understood this pain when he heard the divine command, "Leave your land, your relatives, your father's house," surrendering everything that defined his security and identity. Moses relinquished the unimaginable riches and power of an Egyptian palace. Paul, the mighty apostle, willingly considered everything he once valued in his worldly life as mere refuse, utterly worthless for the surpassing glory of his divine calling. Renunciation, then, is inextricably woven into the fabric of the divine choosing. It is often the unspoken price. The chosen face, the timeless dilemma, echoing figures like Esau and Jacob, but on a spiritual plane, trading the immediate for the eternal, fleeting satisfaction for the ultimate fulfillment of purpose, the temporary applause of humanity for the everlasting affirmation of the divine. This profound exchange rarely, if ever, makes logical sense to the natural eye. Renunciation also manifests as a divine pruning. A higher hand meticulously removes relationships, long-held connections, and even ministries you painstakingly built, projects where you poured out your very soul and heart. These ventures are suddenly, often inexplicably terminated, and you are left with the bewildering question, "Lord, why? Why remove something that felt so certain, so vital?" The answer often resides in divine mathematics, a form of subtraction that ultimately leads to spiritual multiplication. The divine removes the merely good to make way for the utterly best, closes one door to fling open another, immeasurably grander portal, ends one life chapter so that the magnificent next can truly begin. Yet, during the crucible of the process, all you can truly perceive is profound loss. The chosen also learn the arduous lesson of material renunciation. While many around you invest diligently in earthly comforts and fleeting luxuries, you find your deeper spirit compelled to invest in the eternal, in the spiritual realm. Resources that could procure a lavish life are consistently directed towards noble causes, spiritual missions, social impact, the spread of enlightening knowledge. You consciously opt for a simpler standard of living for a far greater lasting purpose. There is an inherent, often overlooked beauty in these renunciations. Every quiet no spoken to the allure of the world becomes a resounding yes to the divine. Every door gently closed in profound obedience creates boundless space for blessings that would simply not fit within the confines of your old life. It is akin to willingly emptying a cup, creating readiness to receive a far richer, more potent content. Many souls succumb during this phase. The relentless pain of renunciation feels profoundly unfair, simply too heavy to bear. "Why must I let go of this?" you lament, when another faithful soul seems to be permitted all these comforts. This gnawing sense of injustice can subtly corrode the soul. Yet, the chosen understand this crucial truth. Different callings require vastly different preparations. The deepest renunciation of all is the ego, the continuous process of dying to oneself daily, releasing control, surrendering your own preferred methods, abandoning your finite will to align with an infinite one. As John the Baptist declared with profound humility, "He must increase, but I must decrease." This profound decrease of self is simultaneously the most painful and the most incredibly liberating renunciation one can undergo. Jesus concisely summarized this ultimate truth. "If anyone wants to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." The path of the chosen is, without question, one of sustained self-denial. Yet each and every act of renunciation, each surrender, subtly reshapes you, bringing you ever closer to the perfect final form that a higher power meticulously planned for your sacred life. Finally, we arrive at the profound experience of divine silence and extended waiting. For the chosen, time itself often operates on a different frequency. While the world around you rushes by in a relentless blur of activity and immediate gratification, you seem to move at an almost glacial pace. Days bleed into weeks, weeks into months, months into what feels like endless years, and the profound promise the divine has planted so deeply in your heart remains just that, a promise, without any tangible signs of immediate fulfillment. The silences from above can be deafening. You pray with fervor, yet perceive no direct answer. You seek profound spiritual direction and encounter only seemingly closed doors. The last deeply prophetic word you received feels so distant that you begin to doubt if you truly heard the divine voice or merely projected your own aspirations. Joseph, the dreamer, intimately understood this arduous waiting as he languished forgotten in an Egyptian prison. He had grand, clear dreams at the tender age of 17, yet spent years submerged in the silent darkness of a dungeon. David, anointed king in his youth, endured a decade fleeing in barren caves, hunted relentlessly like an animal. The relentless weight of these extended periods tested every fiber of their faith. The spiritual desert can feel utterly endless. Prayers can feel like solitary monologues directed into an empty void. Sacred gatherings can become lifeless, ritualistic routines. The profound words of Scripture sometimes fail to resonate or touch your spirit, leaving you feeling emotionally barren. And then the inevitable thought takes root. Has the divine truly abandoned me? Has the Creator forgotten what was so clearly promised? Did I merely imagine this entire calling, this grand design? In these extended seasons of waiting, the chosen inevitably confront the insidious demon of comparison. You observe others, seemingly unchosen, advancing with effortless grace, conquering their objectives, receiving swift, undeniable answers to their prayers. Testimonies of instant, miraculous breakthroughs abound, making you intensely question why your unique spiritual process is so agonizingly slow, so arduous, so utterly silent. The powerful temptation to manufacture outcomes, to help God along, becomes intensely real. When the divine chooses to take his time, our human impulse is to intervene, to accelerate the divine process, much like Abraham, who in his impatience fathered Ishmael with Hagar because the promise of his legitimate son Isaac seemed so long delayed, or like Saul, who offered unauthorized sacrifices instead of patiently awaiting Samuel's arrival. Impatience consistently leads us to concoct human solutions for divinely orchestrated promises. In deeper spiritual conversations, you frequently find yourself holding back, sharing only a fraction of what you truly perceive or profoundly feel. This self-censorship stems from past experiences where your authentic expression was met with discomfort, distrust, or outright dismissal. This constant filtering of your inner truth, this need for self-containment, is deeply exhausting. The prophet Jeremiah understood this particular loneliness acutely, labeled the weeping prophet, considered a pessimist and even a traitor by his own nation. He was part of his people, yet he perceived truths they willfully denied, carrying a weight of revelation they simply could not bear, weeping for a tragedy that others refused to acknowledge. This specific, profound loneliness also carries a divine purpose, to compel you into an intimacy with the Creator so profound it transcends all human understanding. When even other believers cannot fully comprehend the depth of your journey, you learn to find in the ultimate source, in the Father of all creation, every ounce of understanding, acceptance, and unyielding direction that your thirsty heart truly needs. If, as these words resonated, you felt that distinct knot in your throat, that deep tightening in your chest that whispered, "Someone finally understands me," then you are most certainly among the chosen. You are one whom a higher power has set apart for a purpose that courageously extends beyond the ordinary, the comfortable, the predictable. Your pains, your struggles, are not accidental afflictions. They are precisely designed tools in the masterful hands of the divine potter. Each profound rejection teaches you to depend less on fickle human approval and more fully on unwavering divine affirmation. Every solitary moment, every season of deep loneliness profoundly deepens your intimacy with the source of all creation. Each arduous internal conflict meticulously refines your character, sharpening your resolve and spiritual perception. And every painful renunciation, every act of letting go, consciously creates immense space within your being for something immeasurably greater to enter and unfold. The chosen are not granted easy paths. Rather, they are entrusted with profoundly meaningful journeys. While many navigate life on the comfortable surface, you are called to dive fearlessly into its awe-inspiring depths. While countless souls chase transient comfort, you relentlessly pursue eternal purpose. The ultimate difference in your journey lies not in the absence of pain, but in the profound sacred meaning that your pain carries. Your intense process of spiritual refinement may appear unending, but this is only because the diamond of your being has an infinite number of facets waiting to be revealed. The divine perceives in you a staggering potential that you, yourself, cannot yet fully grasp. Every metaphorical cut, every relentless pressure, every meticulous polishing stroke serves but one purpose: to brilliantly reveal the profound spiritual radiance that has been carefully hidden within you since the very beginning of your existence. The silent tears you shed in solitude do not go unnoticed. Each one is carefully collected, meticulously counted, deeply valued in the divine ledger. They are precious seeds of a future spiritual harvest, invaluable investments in an eternal, unseen kingdom. They are the sacred price of an anointing that one glorious day will profoundly impact lives in ways you cannot yet fathom. If you often feel like a true stranger in a world that simply cannot comprehend your intense spiritual yearning, your relentless quest for meaning, your insatiable thirst for truth, then you are, in fact, in very good company. Even Jesus, the divine made manifest, was called a fanatic, excessive, radical by the very world he came to transform. The world could not comprehend his burning zeal, his boundless passion, his unwavering commitment. And yet that same world was utterly transformed by his Spirit. Lord, even with the presence of this pain, I continue forward, for I know deep in my soul that I have been chosen. For those who are chosen feel profoundly differently, and thus they overcome profoundly differently. Do not yield, do not give up. The best, the truest unfolding of your purpose is yet to come. And when that sacred moment arrives, every single tear, every sleepless night, every seemingly closed door will profoundly make sense, and you will say with absolute certainty that it was worth every single moment of this arduous, transformative process.